Media saying the U.S. economy is also under pressure. He went on to say Americans are told that they must absorb the rocketing costs of a war of choice on Iran. Put aside gas price hikes, the stock market bubble. Real pain begins when U.S. debt and mortgage rates start to jump. And he also pointed out that auto loan delinquencies are already at a 30-plus year high. And goes on to say here again, this was all avoidable. Well, let's get over to Washington, D.C. Alan Eyre is joining us. He was a core member of the U.S. nuclear negotiating team for the 2015 Iran nuclear deal. He is currently a distinguished diplomatic fellow with the Middle East Institute. Alan, how do we get out of this mess?
Boy, that's the million-dollar question, Rashad. I think at this point we have to declare victory and cease hostilities, because the one paramount fact is that the United States cannot open and keep open the Strait of Hormuz militarily. And we need to get maritime traffic increased as quickly as possible and as much as possible.
I mean, we're, what, 36 hours after the summit between the presidents of China and the U.S. Has anything emerged from that on Iran? Is there any promise of leverage by Beijing on Tehran?
Well, again, President Trump has said one thing. Official Chinese statements have said another. It's my best understanding that, no, the dial hasn't moved at all. We're not going to get more help from China on putting pressure on Iran to open the straits than we have now. And Iran can negate a lot of the ambient pressure from China just by allowing their ships or ships with cargo for them to pass through the strait, because it's not a question of the strait being closed. It's a question of Iran being able to control who passes through the strait. So I don't think China's going to be any more help in terms of getting the strait open again than they are now.
Now, Iran says that things are not going to go back to the status quo ante, as it were, how things were before. So if that's the case, this is going to take a while. So who's got time on their side for this?
Oh, there's no doubt about that, Rashad. Iran has time on its side for a variety of reasons. First of all, they don't have midterms coming up. Second of all, yes, there's a lot of economic pain in Iran, but not by the people running it, the IRGC, the military. So their pain threshold is a lot higher than the global economies. And even though the blockade we have on Iranian ports is working, it's going to be working over a period of months, whereas the closure of the Strait of Hormuz is operating on a timescale of weeks. So time is on Iran's side.
Now, at the heart of all this as well is the whole Iranian nuclear program. Donald Trump saying he could possibly accept a 20-year moratorium on nuclear enrichment. What is that in any way appealing to the Iranians themselves?
Well, the suspension of enrichment is appealing. The 20 years is too long for Iranians. Iran is willing to accept restrictions on its nuclear program in terms of how many centrifuges, the quality of centrifuges, how much in uranium they're willing to keep. Iran is willing to export its highly enriched uranium, but not to the United States. So the basic structures of a nuclear deal are the same as they were during the Obama era. Iran will accept limitations if they get sanctions relief. But their red lines haven't changed. They're not going to say we give up indigenous enrichment on Iranian soil, and they're not going to dismantle their nuclear infrastructure.
Now, Alan, you were part of the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, the JCPOA, when it was negotiated in 2015. What's it like to actually negotiate with the Iranians? And do you think that Donald Trump, who spiked that deal, is likely to go back to it and claim essentially that it's a brand new deal using smoke and mirrors?
You know, there's no secret sauce to negotiating with the Iranians. They're like everyone else. They're very good at what they do. They know the portfolio. They know the history. They know the details. They're going to listen to what their government back in Tehran says. It's just a question of putting in the time, okay? This is not something you pop in a microwave and it comes out a few days later. It's going to take serious and sustained negotiations, and that's my concern, because I do not think this current U.S. administration is willing to roll up its sleeve, lock itself in a room, and spend the time they're going to need to take to work out a functioning, comprehensive nuclear deal with Iran.
And at the heart of it is mistrust, which is, of course, in some cases you could sympathize with the Iranians having been bombed twice during negotiations.
Exactly right. I mean, Obviously, you don't need full trust. If you had full trust, you wouldn't need negotiations. You only negotiate with your enemies. But there has to be some trust. And for the people running Iran right now, which is a more hardline, more militarized government than the one that existed before the war, they think that the United States and Israel are trying to topple the Islamic Republic of Iran, and that whatever happens in a couple of months, perhaps after midterm, the U.S. and Israel will do another attack, will mow the grass, will destroy whatever deterrent capability Iran has tried to rebuild. So there's zero trust between the two sides. So you need some type of confidence-building measure just to get some momentum.
Alan, thank you so much for your time. Alan Ayer there joining us from the Middle East Institute in Washington.
Thank you, Rashad. Take care.
Israeli forces have shot and killed a Palestinian during a raid on the occupied West Bank. It happened in Jenin refugee camp. The man who was killed was named as 34-year-old Anur Fayyad. The raid was one of several in the occupied West Bank on Saturday. Settlers also injured 3 Palestinians in an attack on Hebron. Now, Yanun was once a thriving Palestinian farming village in the occupied West Bank, but after years of Israeli settler attacks and intimidation, its residents were forced to flee, leaving the village empty and sparking fears that others could face the same fate. Palestinians say Yanun has become a stark example of a wider campaign of forced displacement and land seizure spreading across the occupied territories. Nur Odeh has more from Yanun.